Hi, folks. This is Mountain Man coming to you from parts unknown. How's everybody doing tonight? Hi, Jersey Joe. How you doing? Did you watch Mr. T tonight? I sure did. And I got something to say about that. People are saying, "Oh gosh, I was disappointed." Hey, on the surface, it may have been disappointing, but I'll tell you what, you always look below the surface. Ha ha ha. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to talk about that. And don't you know that they froze trading on bank stocks today? They froze it solid. So we also had Biden give us reassurances. I'll talk about that. I'll talk about Trump's speech, and we're going to give Biden an eviction notice. Of what I heard in that speech, among many other things. Hi, we got Bubba's in here. Everybody's rolling in. Jamie, Vicky, Doc Ghost, B Dog. How you doing? That stands for big dog, right? Ha ha. Let the big dog eat. Linda, Mike, Sin Sin. How are you, Sin Sin? Kim, Maria, Angel. So we got. Do I sing? This is where I sing the song Sunday, Monday. We got Happy Days in. Linda Marie, Ingrid. Ha ha. That's right, Bubba. Just say hi, everybody. Because you can't type. I know I can't type it right. I'll say hi to one person and then say, and everybody else. Don't want anybody getting mad if you don't say hi to them, but you can't type all those names in. Hi, Linda. Jamie. So Nikki's going to come over here. I was hanging out over her broadcast. So let me see. I guess everybody here, Awakened Trillium, Shadow Dancer. Hi, Nikki. There she is. I guess everybody that's in the chats now was listening to uh, Mr. T's speech tonight, and he did come out a little bit stronger about doing away with the Department of Education. And uh, I said last night that he's going to go through the same stuff that he goes through. Nobody likes doing that. It's called a stump speech. I remember Ronald Reagan had to go do stump speeches on the rubber chicken circuit over and over and over. Nobody likes doing that, but he did put out some things, especially about um, how one thing out of many he was talking about where he sent back tens of thousands of MS-13, and I find it very interesting that Trump doesn't mention Bazizzle. He doesn't mention the 64,000 prisoners in El Salvador, which has put a complete stop. So the complete stop to gang cartel operations and red rums. Red rums, as we know, is another word spelled backwards. So, when he's quiet about stuff, that means there's action going on, and those are big stories. But I'm going to tell you, there was something different about this speech. And now that we've got a good number of people in, I'll go ahead and ask the question. Um, who noticed what was different about this speech? And I think he's going to do it in the future and give people time to cogitate. Let me see. Anybody gets it? Hi, Cindy. Hi, John. Hi, Marla. How are you doing? Who am I missing? Stephanie. First time. That's why I said Stephanie. It's the first time I see you. Welcome aboard, Layla. How are you? Awaken Trillium. Okay. What did anybody notice that was different about the speech? And like a lot of things he does, if you think about it, then it hits you. What he did. There you go, Mike. Mike, you've been getting on top of things. I think you got the last question right first, too. Mike 1176. He's the one to keep up with. Unless somebody else got it before. Let me see. I sound like I'm in a tunnel. I'm sorry about that, Jamie. Let me see here. I'm gonna take my. Uh,
How's that? Do I sound like I'm out of the tunnel? I don't want to be in tunnels with the lizard people. For crying out loud. Ha ha, you're welcome, Stephanie. Okay, let's see. Nobody got it but Mike first, and then probably other people mentioned after. So anyway, yeah, taking questions from the audience. And a lot of us, and I, like when Nikki's chats was like, man, we had so many other questions they could ask. They had the chance. And you know what? That's a big deal. When have you ever seen a president or a former president open up questions to a big crowd? And it's going to happen again. And all the questions they could have asked. One of them was, can we wait till 2024? I would have said, man, I'd have said, Mr. President, I'm stuck having to eat Biden baloney because of the Biden administration. It's rubbery, it's nasty, it's bland, and so is the baloney. But I can make it if I have to 2024. But what about the rest of the world? What about our country? Can we make it? Can we all make it till 2024? Hey, Tennessee, how you doing? Hi, Georgia. Do I think they were planted questions? Shadow Dancer says. I'll put that on. What do y'all think? Y'all think they were planted questions? Let's see. I don't think they were. I think they were tripping over themselves too much. They were very respectful and very intelligent, but anyone would be nervous, being in front of that crowd. I don't think they were planted. Stephanie said they were planted. Haha, that's right. Let me see. These chats are slow on me tonight. Jamie, oh, you're not going to lose power. Snowing? Snowing in your territory. Yeah, they were too soft. Well, people get a little nervous. Although that one lady did go right to the schools about the S3 actualization of little ones, right? And Roy says, what a contrast. One answers questions, the other one hides from the questions. Joy says, our favorite posts said something about the question. The question will be asked and will be answered. Joy, am I on the same page as you? The question will be asked and it will be answered. If you do put the question in the chats, make sure you don't use any trigger words or letters, if you get my meaning. The question will be asked and answered. And are we on the same wavelength, Joy? Are we reaching across the stratosphere? Are we on the same wavelength? I'm getting comments in my last night's post, which is good, but it could be over here with us. Hi, Cheryl. What's happening is global, isn't it? Yes, James. That chat jumped right by Mary. Yeah, you're right. It's global. Thank you for helping me out, Mary. I appreciate it. In the buy me a coffee, I saw that. Simpson helped me out. Tennessee's helped me out. I get so many people come by. Joy says, I am, and I am. And Wanda says, I know the question. Who is not A-N-O-N afterwards? The media always adds that. A-N-O-N. Who is C-U-E, like the white ball on the pool table, an A-N-O-N. Who is, don't add the A-N-O-N, say who is C-U-E. That's the question. It will be asked and it will be answered. So they had their chance tonight. That was what I noticed. And Mr. T threw out there every topic, every piece of red meat on hook for somebody to take a bite and ask a lot of questions, not just the big one, the big question. And they say it's supposed to be the media is going to ask that question. Okay, well, we're the news now, right? Hi, Dixie. Hi, Alicia. Alicia. Sorry if I mispronounced that. I got the joy, 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 joy down in my heart. Nix, how you doing? John, how you doing? You're late, John. We've been waiting for you. Ha ha ha. So anyway, yeah, that was a big difference tonight. And he hit on a lot of topics and he saved the education one for the last. And I said last night, you know, all the topics, you know, kind of break up the body politic. Some are interested, some are not. But when it gets down to the kids, it gets down to the education. You heard Mr. T say it himself. That's the issue that gets the most applause, the most response every time he brings it up. And that's right, Roy. That's what we're talking about. Who is C-U-E? That's how we spell it around here. Like the white ball on the pool table. And that's what I was thinking in the back of my mind. I said, man, wouldn't that be something if somebody said, are you, instead of saying, are you Batman? They would say, are you Mr. Elon released, you heard? I don't know. When did that happen, Stephanie? Angel, how you doing? That's right. Hit the like button. Angel said hit the like button. So did Nikki. So that's 2 right there. Case closed. Hit the like button. And if you're not subscribed, why don't you go ahead and get it over with? hit the notification bell so you know when I go live. But anyway, we were having an interesting conversation with Jax. I'm looking for Jax. I've been waiting before I start talking about the subject we were talking about over in Nikki's, but I don't see Jax yet. Engine 10, how you doing? Camperman, how's your leg doing, buddy? So well, Dan got in yet. So I'll jump over to a couple other things. Let's see. Mike says, you know, on his first term, use social media to get the message out. This time he's going to use his audience. That's what I think, to get the answers out. Ha ha. That's right. That's right. Anyway, did anybody look up that date that he mentioned prior to 1929? And I was going to talk about that last night, but the hour went by so fast. People were talking about a run on the banks. And I was thinking, well, I could get into the Great Depression and the bank run on the stock crash in 1929, all that stuff. But, you know, time wouldn't allow me. So what they claim as far as history is concerned was that the Great Depression under Herbert Hoover, a Republican, that's something that the Republicans have worn around their neck. They claim to blame tariffs. Tariffs. And you heard Mr. T talk about how effective, not just tariffs, but his threat of tariffs has been. And the more we learned about the families, about the Roths, childs, right? The switch over from gold, taking people's gold coins, all that kind of stuff, and the banking system. We know now that the Great Depression was not caused by tariffs. That was Europe, the powers in Europe using their influence to destroy and put the squeeze on our economy, because the president started exercising his ability to levy tariffs on other countries. In their relationships with us, they would have rather loaned money, charged interest, all that kind of stuff, installed a central banking system, all these things, just like Andrew Jackson got rid of. And maybe he was referring to the recession prior to Andrew Jackson becoming president. Andrew Jackson called the central bank money rag money. He closed the central bank. There was a big resurgence in the economy. Maybe that's what he was referring to. But I also thought that he may have been referring to a time when they tried to institute a tax, a personal tax in the 1800s, and it ended up going to court. The Pollock versus Farmers Loan and Trust Company, where the United States Supreme Court in 1895 ruled that because of the Constitution, they could not levy direct taxes. They had to do it in a proportional manner, every state proportional to their population. And that was in 1895. So it put off these Marxists from instituting a personal income tax where they could get you for any income from any source up to any amount. Which the words, if you read the 16th Amendment, it's stunning that would somehow get through. But the 16th Amendment was passed, I think it was 1913. Yeah, April of 1913. And right after World War One. They got away with a lot of stuff right after World War One. And right after that, the 17th Amendment came about, which is, and this is important, the 17th Amendment in 1913 removed the state legislatures, your state legislator, my state legislator, from deciding who the senators would be. The Senate used to be a committee, basically, assigned to be senators by the individual state legislatures, because the founding fathers thought that knew that the state legislatures were the closest to the people. So I don't know if you ever tried to call your state legislature. This is not like calling Washington, D.C. You call your state capital, you have a district, and your legislator is assigned to your district, right? And you tell them, hey, I don't like that senator that's in there, and this is the senator I want you to vote for. That is how we came about with the Lincoln-Douglas debates, very famous debates. Abraham Lincoln and Stephen Douglas, the little giant, they called him, because he was a short guy, he was a barrel-chested little short guy, and he had Lincoln was 6'4", beanpole, and the famous Lincoln-Douglas debates, where they were going around debating one another as to who the legislature would choose to be a senator. Now, they did away with that. What, 40 some years after the Lincoln Douglas debates? What did that do? That put where we elect senators directly. Well, what happens? I'll tell you what happens. The Senate becomes impenetrable. They can vote in a way that is completely opposite of your local legislature. Okay? How many times have you seen a state house have a completely different direction than the senator that represents that state? So the Senate became, once you become a senator, you get control of the machine, and you're in there for 50 some years, and you vote how the heck you want to vote, and your legislature can't touch you. That divorced the states from having influence and control over the federal government. And that was just a few months after they passed the 16th Amendment, which is when they could get your back pocket anytime they want. Those two amendments were big steps for Marxist philosophy, the 16th and 17th Amendment. So the states don't pick a committee of senators to represent the state to the federal government anymore. The senators are their own free agents. They can do whatever they want. And to heck with the legislature, which is closest to the people. But everybody thought, oh, I want to vote for my senator. Well, a lot of people, you'd be surprised. They might be able to name one senator from their state, but very few people can name both senators in their state. And I won't ask people in the chats. Just be honest with yourself. Can you name the two senators that represent your state? So, of course, they get back in whenever they want, however they want. So anyway, I didn't mean to go off on that so much, but that gives you an idea how after 100 and almost 50 years, this country ran much differently than it is now. It ran without anyone having any right to know any of your your dang business, okay? As far as what you earned from the sweat of your brow. Nobody had a claim on it. Nobody had a piece of you, okay? And you could call your or contact your state legislator and say, hey, I don't like the way the Senate is doing. We need a new person. So anyway, a lot of people don't realize the impact that had on our Constitution and our system of government, those two amendments. So maybe that'll be revisited. We shall see. I don't know how you can have a safe government that has the ability to take you for everything you're worth. Okay, I don't see how you can be protected long term or your family down the road, because the rule of thumb for me is when I read something, even if it's a little local town ordinance, I read what they say, what they want to pass, and I say to myself, what's the worst thing they could do to me or my neighbors with this ordinance? And then I say, that's what they're going to end up doing. The worst that you can under this. They might not do it right away, but they'll do it incrementally. They always nibble and take small bites. And before you know it, the whole pie is gone. So if they have the right, no, we're not going to do it. We're just like with the income tax. We're just passing the income tax to tax the wealthy people to help pay for the war. Oh, look what it's evolved to. The language said that they could tax anybody as much as they want from any source. Like I used as an analogy before, when grandma sends you a birthday card with a $10 bill in it, they can force you to report that. And they want their cut. If they have the ability to do it, at some point they will. And sure enough, I was saying that 20, 30 years ago, people tell me I'm crazy. Well, now, anything from anywhere, the Biden administration put out a statement. You got to report everything. Okay, that's look at the time, look at the bookkeeping, look at the stress, the misery, the worry. Over what? Because you sold a set of used golf clubs? So anyway, all right. So anyway, I'll get back to Trump's speech. What's the kind of questions you all would ask? It's now you got to scratch the one off we were talking about the 17th letter, okay? Because we've already gone over that. Annette, you're right. Frog in the pot. That's right, Shadow Dancer. They'll be going around your garage sales with a clipboard. Did you sell your child's Nintendo games? How much did you get? Well, I got to pay my light bill. Not asking that. I'm asking how much you got for leapfrog game you sold. Stephanie says, J6 people set free. What are you going to do about it? Well, Trump's not in office right now. And my past broadcasts, I said that was to give him clean hands. They can't blame him for anything. They can't force him to do anything. All they can do is continue what they're doing with a bunch of half-baked, dreamt-up charges to try to think of a way to knock him out of the race. Conservative Patriot, how you doing? And there's Fake 44. And there's Wanda. You helped me out too, Wanda. I appreciate it. So let me see what kind of questions anybody would have asked. Now, he's already said, I can't tell you how I would put an end to the UKR war, right? Because if I tell you, I won't be able to do it. So we couldn't have asked him that. Nikki would have asked about the J6ers too. Who his running mate is. Somebody did ask him that. Somebody did. He said he's got a lot of people to choose from. It's a very interesting process. Will we have two chickens in every pot? That's William Jennings Bryan saying. William Jennings Bryan, he ran for president about 6 times. He was he was an early socialist. He kept saying, I'll have a chicken in every pot. William Jennings Bryan, if you ever want to look him up. Are you going to stand for the truth or cave to? I don't think that'd be that hilarious. That's not a question. If everything Trump's been through and going through right now and gonna go through, I'm sorry, hilarious, but that would not have been a question. That would have been an affront. An affront. He's been standing for the truth. Yeah, they are coming after to buy me a coffee. Get everybody sign up for Zelle. That's a direct bank-to-bank transaction. It's nobody's daggone business. And I might have asked him about Pence if he's considering it all as a running VP. That's a good question. Because I want to. Somebody's texted me. I haven't heard from him in weeks. Why do they wait till I'm on a show? Anyway, when I spit, I say Pence. Come on now, guys. Let me remind you, Chris Miller thanked Pence at a little ceremony after everything was said and done. He thanked Pence for being involved and giving indispensable help to the largest military operation in United States history. I will play that clip for you if I can ever get it recorded. Don't forget that, folks. And what does a good movie take? Good actors, right, folks? Pappy Two Bears, how you doing? That's right, Cheryl. He said it was too early to say. He's got a lot to choose from. All right, cameraman, I'm glad. I see that question. Let's see. Dixie, I see what you said. Do we trust him? And I said before, if Pence had not done it the way he did it, all this stuff there would not be pushed out in the front of the people. Transparency, showing the people, stripping away the cover and camouflage they put over themselves, putting Dr. Ouchie on front, putting Joe Biden and Hunter Biden, pushing them out front in front of the world, where they got to do some serious lying. And then you have all these little creepy deep state rat. How do you say it in Latin? Bastardos. All these creepos coming out to pull strings to try to defend them. And then that's how you see where the arrows that are coming at you, where they're coming from. And that's where you send your missile, right? Where the arrows are coming from. But you got to get them to shoot. If they just lay in the bushes and hide, they're a lot harder to find. Ha ha, B-Dog is right. B-Dog said Pence wants us to treat him as a black hat. Shh. That's right. Be very, very quiet. John says Pence got fungus. I don't know about that. Darn, Carlin. Oh, there you are. How you doing, Darn? Make sure you hit that darn subscribe button and the like button too. So, yeah, gotta. Who's laying in the bushes? Chris. Who's usually laying in the bushes? The opponent. You got to find out where they're at. Get them to lob an arrow your way, and you say, I see you. You know, I was watching some videos from UKR. I just told you, Chris. From UKR, I can't record them and post them. But one of them was a sniper team, you know, and they're crawling around. They're speaking their language, you know, whether it's Russian or Slavic or whatever they're speaking. And they got night vision on, and you see a guy sitting there. It's a little tiny figure, and then they disappear in the bushes in the dark. It's night vision scope. And really, if I record it and play it somebody that's not really knowing what's going on, it'd be kind of boring to watch. But what you'll see, one or two things. When they pull the trigger on their gun, you see a flash, and that sniper will zero right in on that flash because they know where they're at. But really, what gets them is when they take a drag off their cigarette. That's been the Vietnam War, the Korean War. That was one of the things that a lot of vets were talking about. If you were going to smoke a cigarette at night, you better know how to wrap your hand around that thing, because they've seen many a person take a drag off a cigarette, and when they take a drag, the glow intensifies, and bing, they get got. Oh, okay, right. I see hilarious. Yeah, that makes him a target. Cheryl Half says something about night vision glasses. Yeah, that we left really good night vision glasses over there in Afghanistan. Left a lot over there. Chris, you're new too. You look like what's that? What's your little picture there remind me of? Reminds me of a Beatles album cover. I see if I can see pictures sometimes. Hard to see though, awful small. Comes up awful small on the screen. So anyway, that's right. Georgia said cup it. So anyway, I'm trying to see what other questions. We couldn't come out and ask him some outrageous question, even though it'd be uh, a valid question. You don't want to like blow the world up. You got to use fours for A's, Shadow Dancer, on those words. Fours for A's. You got ouchie right, but those other two words, you got to use fours for A's, buddy. That's right. They'll get their day in court. That's right, Patriot. They would sit on top of the trees. Oh, they'd sit anywhere. They'd lay anywhere. And darn Carlin says, you're good. Oh, good. You must have subscribed then. Watch the hedge funds are next. Yeah, John says. Hi, Patriot. How you doing? John Lennon left. That's what I'll call him, John Lennon. Oh, well. Let's see. So anyway, I'm trying to see what questions somebody might. I mean, really think about it. If you were actually in the audience and you were going to ask them a question, I think it would be. I know you said you're Batman, but who is? And then I'd say that one letter. Don't remove it. No, Shadow. It's okay. Get away with once, I think. But just remember to use fours for A's. So what else stuck to anybody out to anybody on this speech tonight? He brought up Obama's name. He brought up Obama's name with the what they call it, the Waters of the USA Act, where they could jam you up over every ditch and every puddle and get after farmers, because if 10 minutes after it rained there was some standing water, they called it a wetlands. I had some friends with farms that had put up with that crap. I remember that. Now, I don't remember mentioning Obama too many times, but I do remember I had ready for one of my chats a press conference that Elise Stefanik was in, where one of the sponsors of some bills that were coming forward was discussing how these exaggerated wetlands were increasing the cost of food, and that they're going to do something about that to get rid of that. And I see Trump brought that up tonight, that he got rid of a lot of that. And I remember there was a guy running around, and what he did, what his job was to see if there were cows that were near a creek or a pond, and was making the farmers. Tell me if any of y'all heard this also, because I know I had friends that were farmers that were talking about this idiocy. They had to put up stakes, wooden stakes with black plastic, okay, along the creek bed. Even if they put up a fence along the creek bed to keep the cows from getting in the creek, they had to put plastic barriers up. Why? Why do I have to put plastic barrier up? Because when the cows go to the bathroom and it rains, it runs in the creek. And this idiot was running around and putting videos up. And he had, according to him, the authority to go on anybody's property, farm or whatever, to look for these, quote, violations. And I thought to myself, man, if that ain't a good way to get your nose twisted, I don't know what is. And so I haven't seen any more action from that character. And he was one of like 10 guys that were running around doing these, quote, evaluations of farm property. And it's like that paper cup I talked about last night, where people don't exercise their brains a little bit. On the one hand, they'll decry how the buffalo is extinct. On the other hand, they'll be telling the farmer to put up plastic between the cows and the stream, the creek. Well, what are you supposed to do? Put diapers on them? Was there anybody doing that before the buffaloes became extinct? Who was running around putting diapers on the buffaloes? There's something wrong with people's brains. That's right. Annette, how you doing? Try that on a Florida farmer. Pow! That's exactly right. And I believe that that person got. I should have saved some of those videos, but I didn't know I'd be doing any of this stuff because they're so patently ridiculous. But you would see thousands of thumbs ups and comments about how, oh, you're helping keep the water clean. Well, what are you going to do about that muskrat? What are you going to do about that gopher? What are you going to do about that beaver? What are you going to do about every creature that flies, walks, and crawls? And of course, then you have occasional cortex come out. Hi, Phil. Yeah, erosion control. Did that when you build houses. Yeah, you put the plastic. I could see that. But they were trying to make farmers do it around their ponds or whatever. Hey, Jersey Joe, how you? Google account, how you doing? So anyway, yeah, it's just amazing how dizzy people can get. And I'm going to tell you that I had one of my early videos. I was talking about how two movies in the 1930s, two entertainment events, I'll say, a radio broadcast and the 1930s version of King Kong, really taught a lot of governments and nefarious individuals how powerful the media can be to get people worked up in a state of mind. He mentioned Jimmy Carter, and I don't know what's going on with him. I mean, I remember. Do you all remember somebody named Art Buchwald? Art Buchwald. He used to. He was a political satirist, and he was humorist, and he got put in hospice care. And because they said, you're getting ready to cork off, you want to go in hospice? He said, yeah, I'll go in hospice. Wanda remembers him. And so he went in hospice, and he was there for about 6 months. And he said, I want to go home. I feel pretty good. And he ended up not passing away. And he lived for another couple, I don't know how long he lived, but he ended up writing articles. He even wrote a book about his time in hospice. Art Buchwald. Yeah, take a look at him. Yeah, Cindy, Carter did say that. I saw the clip where he said it. Hi, Sharon, how you doing? War of the Worlds, and that got it right. Yep. War of the Worlds and King Kong. The radio broadcast War of the Worlds with, Orson Welles. Orson Welles, before he became huge, he's a very large person. He did the broadcast just like the movie, but he did it over the radio, and people actually thought that the world was being invaded by aliens. People were committing suicide, doing all kinds of crazy stuff. And especially the NAZIs over in Germany. They looked at the response to people to that broadcast from War of the Worlds and said, "Aha!" it's you got to use in the KILL word, Wanda. You got to use a number one instead of an I. It's okay. We get away with it one time, but so anyway, I took a screenshot. Let me see. I took a screenshot of that, a little bit about that 16th Amendment business, and I haven't seen Jax. Nikki, did you? Jax didn't come over. I want to talk about that Nasara Jasara. And as we were discussing, the one that starts with an N is National, okay, Recovery Act. And the G is a global. Oh, 44 says Cuba is fully operational, up and running, if you know what I mean by Cuba, right? The spa is huge now, and that's only above ground. Well, like I said, if El Salvador can build a facility to hold 40,000 of the 64,000, that's okay. If she probably can't stay on YouTube all day and all night. I know it's too much sometimes, right? We'll catch her next time around. So anyway, let me see. I'm just checking chats to make sure I don't miss anything. Buckle up. That's what Carrie Lake said, was to buckle up. I tell you, that this is what's so beautiful about it. I know people get frustrated. I get a little frustrated. I said, gosh, Carrie Lake didn't get in the governorship, and Trump is going around giving speeches. No, but then I think to myself, man, what if I was a baddie? Every time the news comes on, there's something else dropping. When is something, if I was a baddie that did something bad and I hadn't been mentioned yet, and I'm going big on, when are they going to mention me? Did you hear Trump tonight saying, well, Mitch McConnell's got to go? He's got these 8 or 10 or 12. I think he did that breakdown, 8 or 10 or 12, that does what he wants and gets what he wants through. He's terrible. He needs to go. He's awful. The 8 or 10 or 12. Well, you got Mitt Romney. Okay, that's one. He's talking about the rhinos. And those guys aren't sleeping very good either, right? And that's the thing that's so great about it. He said in one of his speeches, he said, I'm going to hit him. I'm going to hit him from the front. I'm going to hit him from the back. I'm going to hit him from the left. I'm going to hit him from the right. I'm going to hit him from the top. I'm going to hit him from the bottom. I'm going to hit him right in the effing center. So in other words, he was going to come at him every way he could come. And he said that last year. And that's what he's doing right now. The stuff with Carrie Lake could result in some kind of big news. All the things we have bopping around. People are doubting what this role of this guy Jack Smith is. He's looking into things in Georgia, presumably to try to indict Trump, but it's looking like more like he's looking at what other people might have done criminally. So anyway, the cat came around, spooked me a little bit. She just woke up. Ha ha ha. Hi, Bambi. So anyway, so they're all dancing on pins and needles. All of them. I mean, I would be if I thought I was on the list. But it was being put out about Ouchie. Was he going to be the first sacrificial lamb? That's the term somebody else used in another broadcast. He was going to be the first one to go down. And we were told the first arrest would show future direction. So, we gotta see which ways it's going to do. I think it's going to be either him or Hobbs or another governor, some kind of blindside that nobody expects. But I tell you, the two prime candidates for me right now that are the most exposed and that have done the most blatant acts that would justify them being detained would be either Ouchie or Hobbs. Jamie said Podesta first arrest in the Q drop. No, it didn't say he would. It did say he would be arrested, but it didn't say he would be the first arrest. Did it? I've read that posted numerous times. It's one of the very early ones, isn't it? Roy, I went over that. It does not say that anywhere in the 17 posts that the first arrest will shock the world. It says the truth will shock the world. And it says the first arrest will show future direction. So, Roy, if you have the ability, you can go to, you know what letter? Alerts. The letter that we're talking about, alerts. And you got a little window with a magnifying glass. Type in there, shock the world. Okay? And then look up what you get. And that says, I hope Ouchie first. Me too. It's Ouchie Google account. That's how we spell that. And I agree, Fake 44. I think his brother. Colonel Bird, John said. Look up Operation High Jump. Colonel Bird. I don't know about that. Let me see. Well, we know something's going to happen, right? This is what Trump said. The final battle. He said it. And he put it in terms of it being 2024, but he said those words again tonight. Final battle. I mean, who knows how many battles he's been that 80% is covert, folks. 80%. Mr. Obama, Stephanie said. Bambi, I don't know. I haven't seen. I saw him give a little speech where he was making fun of Joe Biden. We can't give old Joe, Uncle Joe, too much responsibility. But that's been a good month. I don't think anybody's seen anything out of him for a month. So anybody see what gold and silver closed out at today? I know silver was about $20 over the weekend. Judge Roberts, that's a thought. Google account. There's so many, and none of them know. None of them know. Isn't that a way to live? Maybe Big Mike, Tennessee said. I don't know. That's why I said that would shock the world if they perp walked Big Mike after they hadn't let it have a razor for about a week. That would shock the world. Wasserman Schultz, yeah, that's one of them, but that's too small of a fish. Nick says, I'm waiting for silver to skyrocket. Yeah, we've been waiting. I remember we were invested in silver back in the 70s when it did skyrocket. Cindy, you're in the hole for about 40 G's, but you have physical silver, right? So you can't be, you're invested in 40 G's. You haven't lost 40 G's, right? So you got about 40 G's in silver. Tennessee. Yes, it goes back to Cain and Abel. George Soros would shock the world, you think? Well, like I said, it never says that the first arrest will shock the world. The first arrest will show future direction. Something like, it doesn't say shock the world, I swear to y'all. No, 4,100 ounces. Oh, okay, you got a load. I'd kind of stand pat. It's just my personal thoughts. I'm not a financial advisor. I'd stand pat. But Putin has signaled that he's going to turn the ruble into gold backed. And then you have BRICS. All of the BRICS nations are talking about precious metal backing their money, silver and gold. Yeah, Cheryl we got it at 24 when it hit a peak, right? Now it's 20, but it's they said it went up over the weekend, and going into the weekend it was 20. I don't know if I think it's a little higher, Cheryl. I haven't looked today. I was checking out these stock free when they froze the trading on bank stocks. So you're not doing too bad if you bought it at 24. I mean, it's going to go higher. I've got coins. I was going through a bunch of quarters, and I got them where I can show you the edges. They go from solid silver. You can see that copper in the middle. Where in the 60s you could see a strip of copper, in the 70s a strip of copper got wider, and it eventually got to where you just got a little thin coating of silver on the quarters, and now they make it out of, I don't know what the hell they make it out of. Since it said I invested in brass, there you go. It's a semi-precious metal, brass, copper, aluminum. That's the way it goes. Brass and copper, and then you have aluminum, then you have silver, then you have gold. Nick's got lots of lead. B-Dog invested in seeds. It was 20 before you got on tonight. That's right. You'll have it when you need it, honey. That's right. It's going to go up. Don't worry. You hang on to it. Don't let anybody talk you into selling it cheap. But anyway, this business of the 16th Amendment, since I pulled this business up about it, it may be something some people out in the chats might want to take a look at it. Of the how that came about. Prior to the early 20th century, most federal revenue came from tariffs rather than taxes. How many times have you heard Trump talk about tariffs? About how much money he gave the farmers, billions, because he put tariffs on China. I think he's discussing this with people, how he said he was going to put tariffs on France's wine. when they wouldn't play ball with him. How he told Mexico, you do what I say with those 23,000 troops, or I'll put 100% tariffs on your automobiles. Okay, that's how the federal government used to operate. They did not run around with an IRS where they could put you in jail if you forgot to write down something petty on your taxes. All right. So they could, like I said earlier in the broadcast, pay for wars in the UKR and pay for people in this country to have bottom surgery. All right. And they don't pay squat. You know it and I know it. They can't do anything productive unless they get, and it's not productive when they get hired in the government. They're just diversity hires. But anyway, they imposed excise taxes on various goods. Okay. The Revenue Act of 1861. Now that is right at the beginning of the Civil War, right? The Revenue Act of 1861 had introduced the first federal income tax, but it was repealed in 1872. Again, it was introduced as a war effort. During the late 19th century, various groups, including the Populist Party, favored the establishment of a progressive income tax at the federal level. Okay, you heard that word progressive. What does that stand for? Socialist. Okay, Williams Jennings Bryan. Okay, a chicken in every pot. These groups believe that tariffs unfairly tax the poor, and they favored using the income tax to shift the tax burden onto wealthier individuals. The 1894 Wilson-Gorman Tariff Act contained an income tax provision, but the tax was struck down by the Supreme Court in the case of Pollock versus Farmers Loan and Trust Company. So there you have Woodrow Wilson. Before he became president, he helped sponsor a bill that started an income tax. And in one of my past broadcasts, I discussed a letter he wrote where he said he single-handedly destroyed this country by pushing through a personal income tax. He was lamenting it after he had his stroke and after he got out of the White House. He was lamenting the fact that he implemented an income tax. So anyway, I won't read the rest of it. I see people get bored, dropped out of the chats. You know, I don't know what people want. Educate their brain, because I think what Trump was discussing, for those who aren't dropping out of the chats because they have to exercise their brain a little bit about what happened in the past with this country. Like Harry Truman said, you want to know the future? Read a history book. Okay? So I guess they're running off to Mike Penny's program. Anyway, we didn't have an income tax in this country for 150 years. Damn near. And now we've got 86,000 extra IRS agents coming after us with blue hair and metal in their face, and don't even know how the good Lord intended them to live. So what I'm getting at is, as many times as Trump brought up his tariff powers, as many times as he mentioned how he can generate revenue and gobs of it through tariffs, I think he was giving us a hint. And I think that goes into what we were talking about earlier, Nasar Jassar. My gosh, I went over my hour. Anyway, this is a viewer-supported and creator-supported broadcast only. I don't get anything from any platform. I have a Buy Me a Coffee link for anybody who would like to help support the platform, and I appreciate everyone who has helped and has been a informal member of the coffee crowd. Ha ha ha! I do appreciate it very much because these live streams use up data like a wet vac. Thank you, Jamie. I'm just wondering where 20 people drop off the chats because I mentioned a few dates from 1861 or something and talking about how did we get in a flipping situation where every April 15th, which, by the way, is the anniversary of Lincoln passing from the assassination. Okay. How did we get? I think they did that date to mock Lincoln, okay, that's when you got to report, all right? And if you don't, you're in big trouble. They never had that power over us. Let's see. Just checking the chats, folks. John said, keep on going. I can't go too long over an hour, John. I'll keep going. Thank you, Stephanie. I'm glad you subscribed too. But I mean, we got to be able to talk to our friends and neighbors. When people think this is normal, this is American, they have to learn what America used to be. I was reading The Last Best Hope, America, The Last Best Hope, which was written by, oh gosh, he used to be the Secretary of Education under Ronald Reagan. Bill Bennett wrote the book, three books, and it's called America, The Last Best Hope, where Lincoln was traveling with another attorney. They were going to review or observe a case that was ongoing, and they shared a room in somebody's house. They split the cost, and they slept in the same bed, and which was not uncommon in those days, you know. And I think it was like $4 a piece or something, $3 a piece. The room was $6, and Lincoln said, "If I don't offend you, if it's none of my business, I understand. But I'm just wondering how you're situated." And what that meant was how you're situated was how you doing money wise. You know, it was you had to tread lightly. You know, if it was not anybody's business. Now, everything you make, they demand to know, and you better tell them. And half the time, if not 75% of the time, it's electronically transferred. You don't have to tell them. They can just look it up. They can just look it up. They can take your money and then decide whether or not you have deductions and let you have it back. You cannot earn a damn dime and file an income tax form and get a big paycheck called the Earned Income Tax Credit or something like that. A rebate when you never baited. So I think that Trump is dropping hints that a lot of this stuff is going to be out of here. And it's right. I don't know how people how they afford to sit at a bar all night. I was going to put up a YouTube video on one of my picture shows where one state is going to lower the BAC to 0.05. So if you go to a bar, you better have one watered down drink and then drink water for an hour before you leave, or you can lose your job, lose your license. And like I said before, they're putting that level of control on people so they can't meet and talk with one another. Like I said, most revolutions started in bars and taverns. We are supposed to run them. They're not supposed to run us. That's exactly right. It's going to take a while to fix everything. That's right, Jamie. Mike, I appreciate you too, buddy. All right, folks, let's see. All right. I always have a list of things I wanted to discuss, and then I get on a soapbox. But I did find it interesting that Trump was bringing up tariffs so much. And a couple of weeks ago, I remembered that the case concerning a personal income tax had the word farmers in there, and I had refamiliarized myself with that case. Uh, that's right. They don't want the common man to have great wealth, common folks to have great wealth. They don't want us to have any wealth. They want us to own nothing and be happy. And I keep talking about how important it is to know who your county administrator is, who you're planning, who's on your planning commission, or do they go to school to learn how to be a Marxist? Do they believe in this climate change cult garbage? Do they believe in Marxist philosophy? People like that need to be gotten the hell out of government. They don't belong in positions of public trust. And if you walk up to a supervisor, somebody who's running for supervisor in your local government, you say, "What do you think of the you know what movement, the alphabet movement?" You could say, I can't say it on this channel, but you could say the LB and then the GTQ movement. What do you think about that? Well, I think people should love who they want. Well, you don't have my vote, and walk away from them, because those people are going to be telling your kids that. So, yeah, you start at the local level. Then a true Google account, they are dumb, but they get the power because the people above them teach them how to stay. It's as long as they push for Marxist agenda, they'll get support, they'll get funding, just like that Maricopa County Sheriff, just like Katie Hobbs, just like Muriel Bowser in D.C., okay, just like all these governors that put all those people in nursing homes, okay, they all got help, and they all got funding, and they all got a built-in army of misfits who were put in positions of power, and they'll do anything to keep it. A Google account, they're not procreating, but you know how they do? They don't procreate. They do something else. They recruit. They recruit. There was an article out that 5%, a poll, they said 5% of minors consider themselves to be the opposite gender bender. That's the term they use on Right Side Broadcasting. 5% of our youth think that. And you say, oh, it's only 5%. That's how many hundreds of thousands of young people that are going to have mental issues. They're going to need lifelong medical care. Yeah, see, Janice. Gag order regarding latest South Carolina rulings. Another one bites the dust. That's right, Patriot. We got to keep going, but we got to do our job on a local level. And I don't mean to go down there and like get throwing knuckles, but you do. You walk up to somebody and say, I'm running to be on the town council. Well, what do you think of this business in our schools? I wouldn't even say that. I'd say, what do you think of the LGBTQ movement? Well, I think people should love who they want to love. Just say, okay, thank you. And tell your friends, don't vote for that. Don't vote for that hedonist. Don't vote for that person, okay? And then find out who's running against them. And you say, what do you think of it? They say, I believe in the Bible. You say, okay, you got my vote. And then you push for that person. The only thing that's going to get us out of it. All right, folks, I appreciate it. And I appreciate you giving me your precious time. You know, as I've said in the past, you never know when the lights go off. Every second you got precious. And I appreciate you spending your time with me and walking through history with me. And I appreciate you, Nikki, for helping me out in the chats. I know you've had a long day, and I didn't mean to keep going beyond my hour. That's right, Cheryl. Get the phones away from the little kids. And Camperman, you're awesome too, buddy. You have a good night. So You all have a great evening. Thank you for joining me. And I'll be back soon. Like, share, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell so you know when I go live. And this is Mountain Man over and out.